Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Marcus White.
And my name is Fight Mode Nick Cavalli.
And we welcome you to the Wrevolution Pro Wrestling Podcast. We are back at it again with your Wednesday night. Huh?
With the white fans? No, we're not. No? Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't realize it wasn't 2014. Damn, Daniel. Anyways, we are back at it with the Wednesday Night Wars, NXT and AEW. This is the edition covering the Wednesday, April 15th episode of NXT and Wednesday Night Dynamite.
Yeah, that. So, wow, that was almost as cringe as, hey, are you cool cats and kittens? So...
Hey, you got it last week. I get it this week.
At least mine was copying Mauro Ranallo. Yours was just of your own fruition. So this week we're going to be starting with NXT. Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. So Tom Phillips and Byron Saxton are back on commentary this week to everybody's displeasure. So
I mean, Byron does his best work in NXT.
That is
that's
fair.
Good. So does Phillips.
If I'm being honest, Phillips is becoming more and more of a nuisance with each week. He's just slowly just becoming like he's grating to listen to. It's just it hurts. Yeah. He's just not very interesting. But
no, that was definitely difficult to get through. Was the commentary team tonight, and then the commentary on the other show wasn't particularly great. So
yeah. So we start off with the Prince, Finn Balor versus Fabian Eichner with Marcel Bartel at ringside, and this was a good match. It's nothing amazing, but it was still a good match. It was all technical wrestling, not a lot of super fast-paced or flippy stuff, but not all wrestling needs to be like that. So it was more of a slow-paced, technical style. There was at one point later in the match where Marcel starts interfering, and then Balor ends up hitting him with a sling blade, and then sends him through the gate on the outside with a shotgun dropkick. He then hits the coup de grace and then wicks up the victory with the 1916. So Finn Balor gets the win over Imperium tonight. So still can't get his hands on Walter due to the crisis that's going on. Walter is stuck over in the UK. Same with many of our UK superstars, including Pete Dunne. But this is still advancing the storyline, so... it's pretty good. What do you think?
I thought this was a good matchup. Obviously, we all know that I like Imperium altogether. Fabian Eichner, one of my favorite members of Imperium, not named Walter, because, by God. But these guys put on a really good match. Eichner, one of the better technical wrestlers from that group. So it was definitely an interesting match to watch. I think it definitely pushes the storyline forward. Now, I'm just excited to see Finn Balor take on the ring general Walter in the coming months.
Yes. So next we get kind of like a speech from the NXT Women's Champion, the Queen Charlotte, and I liked this a lot. It was really good. She basically goes on to talk about her accomplishments, talks about how she's dominated the past. She's dominated the present, and now she's going to dominate the future. She says how she's beaten all of the horsewomen, made them all tap out. Talked about how she ended Asuka's undefeated streak, how even when people like Trish Stratus tried to come in. Oh, we're having poor connection here.
I'm back. I realized I was connected to the wrong Wi-Fi signal, so we Gucci. I got this.
All right. Well, she talked about how when Trish Stratus came back, she made her tap out, and now she's taking on the next generation because she heard from everybody that NXT is the best women's division in WWE. So that's her next mission is to take on the best women's division in WWE. She talked about how someone she really wants to face is Mia Yim. Talked about how they came up together through NXT. So she really wants to beat her. And then once she's finished with her, obviously, the number one contender, I'm struggling tonight. Number one contender, Io Shirai. That's obviously something she's going to have to deal with, but she thinks she's going to get through her real easily. And then obviously Rhea Ripley is going to be getting her rematch once she's done putting herself back together. So I liked this a lot. She said, and the way she capped it off is by saying that after she's done beating up on NXT, there's no debate that she is the greatest of all time. So she's not wrong there. Like, if she does that, yes, she's career-wise, yeah, she'd be up there.
I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, Vince is just going to put you over everybody because, hey, your last name is Flair, so, yeah, I guess.
I mean, let's not act like Charlotte is just some, like, wannabe that doesn't deserve, like, the push she's getting. She's an amazing talent. She's, without a doubt, one of the top 3 women's wrestlers in the business. Arguably top 2, just depends on who you want to put over, but she's an exceptional talent. Her mic skills can be, like, a little wishy-washy at times. It depends on how overly scripted WWE makes her promos. But in the ring, there's just no comparison. She's amazing at what she does. So I think she's amazing. And I think when everything's said and done, when her career is wrapped up, however long her career lasts, I think we'll look back on it and say, yeah, Charlotte's one of the best of all time.
We'll look back and we'll say Charlotte has more title reigns than her dad, John Cena, and R-Truth combined.
Probably. So next we get Aaliyah versus Xia Li, and we get the revelation via Aaliyah's Twitter account that she was the one that took out Xia Li. So cool.
I don't.
Yeah. No, I mean, we all knew, right? And this wasn't a great match, like, at all.
Well, I mean, there were only 2 ways to go. Either Aaliyah did it or Io Shirai did it, and I don't care.
Yeah,
who
no.
did it. I'm happy someone did it.
Yeah. So, yeah, Xia wins with, like, kind of like a spinning kick to the back, and that's how she picks up the win. Cool. Next, we find out that there's going to be a interim Cruiserweight Championship tourney since the Cruiserweight Champion is stranded in the UK. So now we're going to have a interim Cruiserweight Champion.
Stranded in his house, so it's not like we have an NXT World Champion either, so.
Yeah, but wow, one is probably going to be significantly longer than the other. So, yes, we're getting, in Group A, it's Kushida, the now released Drake Maverick, although he did announce that he's still going to be competing in said tournament. It's going to be the last couple matches he has in WWE. Tony Nese. I'm sorry?
Which is awesome that they'll be doing that for him, but I mean, also, congratulations, that means one of the other 3 already advanced.
By the way, Drake Maverick has already released T-shirts online. So,
24/7.
Yeah, so go check that out if you guys are interested. Tony Nese, then Jake Atlas rounds out Group A. Then Group B, Isaiah Swerve Scott, El Hijo del Fantasma, and rounding out Group B is one Jack Gallagher. So here's how this works. You fight matches in your group, and whoever has won the most matches from each group, those guys are going to face each other in the finals to decide who is the new interim Cruiserweight Champion. Now, if there is a tiebreaker in your group, then it just goes by the head-to-head record for that.
For those of you guys who are fans of the World Cup, it's the same way that they decide seeding in the World Cup. They go group by group. And I believe you only named 3 for Group B. The last name, and that would be Tozawa.
Yes, you are right. I missed Akira Tozawa. So, next, just real quick, Matt Riddle calls Pete Dunne to ask who his partner is, because Pete Dunne is one of the people that are stranded in the UK, but Undisputed Era doesn't want to wait. They want to fight the Broserweights for the Tag Team Championship. So Matt Riddle had to get a partner. He doesn't know who it is, though. Matt Riddle is being forced to wait to the end of the night by his tag team partner, Pete Dunne. Stallion Pete.
Stallion Pete. The point of the element of surprise is to surprise the Undisputed Era, not me. Who is it, bro? Bro.
Yes, so next we get Isaiah Swerve Scott versus Akira Tozawa. The
Easy
first
match. Easy match to call, right?
As
soon as I saw this match, I knew who was winning.
See, I didn't think about it that way. They made a point to point out that Akira Tozawa was a former cruiserweight champion. While his reign only lasted a week, they said he's had 3 years to kind of stow over this. We all remember how Akira Tozawa performed in the original Cruiserweight Classic. He was one of the more over people from that tournament. He's always been an amazing competitor. His strong style, fast-paced, technical action. So he's really good at what he does. So I knew this was going to be a good match, and it was.
Oh, I'm glad I wasn't taking bets on this one.
But as Nick is kind of alluding to, Akira Tozawa picks up the win here with the flying senton from the top rope. So Akira picks up the first win in the tournament.
Now, maybe this is just me, but I figured this would be the perfect opportunity to push somebody young. And maybe that's still to come because, we see later in the night the promo for Elio de Fantasma. Fantasma is, of course, this is the son of the original El Fantasma, who is one of the greatest luchadors of all time. So it'll be interesting. Hopefully he gets a nice little push. I thought this was the time to go, okay, well, Jordan Devlin's not here. We'll give it to Swerve. And apparently they just they swerved us.
Well, first of all, this isn't a single elimination tournament, so it's not like Swerve is out. He still can win other matches and go on to advance. So it's not like it's over. So the world's not ending here. Second, Akira isn't that old at all.
I know.
So it's nice to see Akira pick up some wins. You have to treat every person in this like they have a viable shot of winning. Otherwise, it's just the expected names just running through people every week. So I appreciate the fact that it wasn't what you expected and that Akira picks up the win.
Whatever.
So next we get Tegan Knox versus Raquel Gonzalez. Yikes. Tegan's had some stinkers lately.
Tegan, I love the new Titantron. I love the new jacket. It all looks beautiful. You look beautiful, by the way. Yikes, that match did not. And it wasn't totally your fault. But it wasn't not your fault either. It wasn't to the point where I can just go, wow, it's because you're wrestling a stone wall. Which, Raquel Gonzalez is not much less stiff than a stone wall, but whatever.
Well, I definitely look at this and I go, this first of all was the in-ring debut for Raquel Gonzalez. This was her first match in NXT, but this is also kind of continuing the fact that Tegan of late just has not been having great matches, and this is kind of continuing that streak. So again, it's probably due to the fact that, her and Raquel have zero chemistry at all. But no, this just wasn't a good match. And then we got the expected interference, Dakota Kai getting involved. But then Shotzi Blackheart comes out to save the day, lays out Dakota Kai, allowing Tegan to pick up the win via roll-up. So
please don't do this to me, NXT.
Yeah, well, it's already announced. It's going to be
I
Tegan
know.
Knox and Shotzi Blackheart next week versus the team of Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai. So,
I'm sorry, Tegan. I'm rooting for Dakota Kai to win that match. I want Dakota Kai to kick Shotzi Blackheart's head off.
if I'm being honest right now, going off of recent events, Shotzi's had better matches than Tegan, if we're being honest. So,
because noting the way that traditional rivalry tag matches work, Tegan's time is all going to come with gigantic Stonewall Raquel Gonzalez, whereas Dakota Kai is going to be in the ring with Shotzi Blackheart, making Shotzi look like a 5-star ring girl. Yeah, it's going to be great. Tegan's going to be like going for an enziguri, and Raquel Gonzalez is going to be like, no.
You want to talk about something being great? Let's talk about Tahuti Miles versus Dexter Lumis.
Again. Miles Loomis, too.
This was not good. It wasn't good the first time we saw it. It's not good now. I don't get Dexter's gimmick. It's I don't blink. I stare at the camera like this, and yeah. I mean, I'll give you points on the fact that he is quite a creepy guy. Like, he's got that creep factor 100% maxed out, but that's about it. He wins with the Anaconda Vise, and we find out that what we've been waiting for all night, which was the face-to-face between Adam Cole, Bebe, and the Velvateen Dream, is not going to happen because the champ is at home again. So Adam Cole once again chilling at home in his backyard. Come on, guys. Like, I get that the story is supposed to be, oh, he doesn't have the time for Dream. He's playing with him. He doesn't think he's serious. But we need to see the champ at some point. Like, pop up on NXT. Do something. I don't know.
I love that Adam Cole is getting the Brock Lesnar treatment.
Yeah.
Vince, or Trips, I'm gonna take a couple weeks off during this whole thing. Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
But that was actually to the displeasure of Velveteen Dream, who comes out and he essentially says that Adam Cole is going to be the last champion from the Undisputed Era. Talks about how, oh, hey, Adam Cole, you are maybe debatably the greatest NXT champion of all time. You are undebatably the longest reigning NXT champion. But as he's saying this, you see in the background Finn Balor lurking behind him. He approaches the Dream, who turns around, and he says, "You're talking about the greatest of all time in regards to the NXT championship? You're looking at him. Now, Dream, I don't know much about you. I've never talked to you, in fact. But be careful, because ignorant comments will get you a date with the Prince." To which Dream responds,
"Hey, Finn, why don't you be a gentleman and pick the Dream up, say, next Wednesday?"
Fantastic. I love Velveteen Dream. I love
Thanks.
Finn Balor.
I did a really good job.
No. I love the Dream. I love Finn Balor, and I can't wait to see this match. It's going to be fantastic. I mean, what more do you need, right? Like, what more do you need?
Yeah. We did actually skip over something a little bit. It's the Keith Lee promo. Keith Lee talking about everything he's had to overcome to get to where he's at. How his grandmother introduced him to wrestling at the age of 5 years old, and at 20 he decided he was going to go into it, but he didn't. His parents didn't want him to do it, so he had to steal his own car from his house, break out, drive 5 hours to do a show, and when he came home, his parents told him he was no longer welcome in his own home. So Keith Lee talks about the grind that it took to get to where he is now, and that it's the mentality that you can do anything in life, the mentality that if you put your mind to anything, that is what makes you limitless.
fantastic words from one Keith Lee. We real quick get a promo by Malcolm Bivens talking about induced share. Yeah, not much there. Just they're coming for the titles. Cool, move on. So next we get Undisputed Era, but not the Undisputed Era that you're thinking of challenging for the tag team titles, because it's Roderick Strong and Bobby Fish versus
Bobby Fish fried Bobby Fish could fried fish
versus Matt Riddle and his new tag team partner, introduced by Pete Dunne on Titantron, and this ham hock, Timothy Thatcher. This dude looks mean, he hits hard, and I enjoyed him in this match.
You know, I didn't have a problem with Thatcher per se. From playing me in 2K, I love brawler style people who just strike for days. And this dude's just throwing overhand fists at guys. Like, I like the style. Something felt off about. I don't know. Maybe I'm nitpicking. Obviously, he's not Pete Dunne, so that's a problem because Pete Dunne's amazing. But Thatcher looked fantastic in the ring. I'd like to see where this goes.
Yeah, I really hope that whatever happens, you don't get you've been gone and I competed for the title, so it's my championship. Like, I hope that storyline never comes to fruition, because that's always horrible. But this was, despite obviously things being a little different, instead of Pete Dunne getting Thatcher and instead of Kyle O'Reilly getting Roderick Strong, obviously Roddy and Bobby Fish still have chemistry in the ring, as they're all members of the Undisputed Era, so their tag team chemistry was really good, and even the chemistry between Thatcher and Riddle was pretty good. I like there's a little bit of comedic points. At one point, Riddle looks at Thatcher, says, "Hey, put your hands together." And then he does a backflip off the hands of Thatcher. And then Thatcher's just like, oh, whatever. So I thought that was funny. But at one point, Dexter Lumis is seen looming around the outside of the ring, just staring, watching the match. That was kind of weird. I did like how when this match started, Riddle says, "Hey, Bobby, I got a question for you. How much fish could Bobby Fish fry?" And Bobby just loses it. I did love that. But this match ends with Timothy Thatcher hooking an armbar for the win. So the Broserweights retain the NXT Tag Championships. And then at the very end of the night, they've been building it up throughout the whole night. Is Tomaso Ciampa going to be a man of his word after the actions of Johnny Gargano and his girl last week? And he is. He goes on camera, says he's done with this, he's done with everything, and then he congratulates Johnny, says he's the better man, and then immediately gets the crap beat out of him by Killer Cross. And that's how NXT goes off the air.
Wait for this. So Killer Cross is a fantastic performer. This is going to be a great feud if that's what they're setting up for, the possible collision course of Killer Cross and Tomaso Ciampa. That would be amazing. I look forward to it all. I can't wait.
Oh yeah, NXT's got some real nice storylines coming up, so I've been excited. They've been really pushing the envelope these last couple weeks, so looking forward to what NXT has planned. Match of the show, my friend.
Yeah, Finn Balor and Fabian Eichner.
I'm gonna have to go with the tag team match at the end of the night. Fabian and Finn, while that was a good match, definitely my number 2. I definitely enjoyed the style, just a little bit more of the tag team match.
Understandable MVP for you?
My MVP is going to be Finn Balor. He was in the second best match of the night, and I loved his promo with the Dream.
Yeah, this is difficult because there's a lot of guys I wanted to choose here. Keith Lee really spoke to me. I mean, I've done it with everybody else's debut. Killer Cross, congrats, you won MVP.
I don't like that that's become a thing. But let's move on to AEW Dynamite. We start the show, bless you.
Excuse me.
We start the show with Jake the Snake saying that the TNT Championship Tournament was made for Lance Archer because he commands attention. He says, this is ours. This is like taking a ball away from a dog. You don't do that. He then goes on to talk about how we all know how Lance Archer had to leave the United States and go compete in Japan because they wouldn't let him fight here. And he's pissed off about it.
Don't know. Lance Archer used to be in WWE. Lance Archer was in WWE under the name Vance Archer. His last match in WWE, ironically, was against another guy who's no longer there, Luke Gallows.
By the way, real quick, rest in peace, the OC. Let's throw it up real quick for the last time for WWE. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson actually, on that note, pretty much have announced that they're signing with New Japan. Carl Anderson put up a video showing a plane going to Japan and reintroduced his former name. So, really excited to see that. A little disappointed they're not winding up in AEW, and it could just be a brief appearance in New Japan. We don't know, but knowing them, they're probably going back home to New Japan.
Well, I mean, Machine Gun Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows, both of them reintroducing their gimmicks. Doc posting a picture of him with the face paint on, and I think both of those guys are going to go back and have at least a 3 to 6 month run in Japan, wait for all this COVID-19 to go away before AEW can even really think about signing anybody. I mean, right now they're running it 5 or 6 guys from the main roster at a time.
Yeah, so we'll see how that all plays out. Still really sad about everything that happened. Don't know where it's gonna go from there, but we just all know that the wrestling industry took a huge hit yesterday. But that being said, let's get back into AEW. We find out that once again we have Tony Schiavone and Chris Jericho on commentary again. Yes. And we kick things off with Colt Cabana versus Lance Archer. So we went to the other side of the bracket for the first match over there in the TNT tournament. And this was about as good as I expected. It, wasn't anything amazing, but it was a good match. Colt Cabana looked pretty good. Lance Archer, for me, this match meant everything for him as a character because this was the first match against somebody that actually matters. I mean, as much as I like to make fun of Colt Cabana, the guy's got 20 years of experience in the business. He's a renowned vet around the industry, so the dude knows what he's doing. So to see Lance Archer come in, dominate somebody like Colt Cabana and pick up the win here, that was, for me, what was really important for Archer going forward in AEW.
For those of you who know me, you know I love indie wrestling. For those of you know me well, you know that these are two of my favorite indie wrestlers of all time, taking each other on major network television. I was dying inside. And it wasn't that it was a particularly great match. It was good. It was very, very good. Colt Cabana got some pretty good offense in at times. Archer sold the offense the way he needed to still look strong. Cabana got a lot of his good comedic spots in, which was important to the match because they want to show that that's not just him being funny. That's part of who he is. That's his style. He looked really good in this match, but most importantly, Lance Archer looked like an absolute freaking monster in this match. I know a lot of people are saying that this match could have done a little bit more for Colt Cabana had the commercial break been a different place. The commercial break took place right during the middle of like his baby face comeback phase. So to see that a little bit more, could have done a little bit more for Cabana, or could have done a little bit more for Lance Archer. Had they shown him shutting it down, it just kind of happened during the commercial break, which is a little bit awkward. But aside from that, this match was fantastic. It was placed a little bit early in the card. I would have liked to have seen this go on the second to last, but it was important to get a good match out of the gate. And these guys didn't disappoint. And by God, Lance Archer with that blackout.
Yeah, that was probably the best blackout I've seen him hit so far in AEW.
Cabana's not Marco Stunt.
No, he's not. And
that's a big man.
Yeah, and it looked like there was more impact in that one too. So really nice job from both men tonight. Thank God Archer finally looks like the possessed demon he's supposed to look like in the ring. That was really good. Good on you, AEW. Next we get Britt Baker's rules of being a role model. So rule number 1, you have to always fight fair. Yes. So this leads into Cassandra Golden versus Britt Baker. Squash match. We all expected that. Baker.
The funny thing is, this actually does good things. Because of the way the squash match happened, we know Britt Baker has that style where she likes to flap her gums in the rings, and Hikaru Shida was at ringside during this match, so There was some interaction between the two of them as well.
Of course, Britt Baker won this match the same way she did against, what's her name? She put Cassandra on the ropes, put her mouth on it, and then stomped on the back of her head, essentially breaking her teeth. So that was vicious. Going on now, we get my favorite segment of the entire night, the Bubbly Bunch.
The Bubbly Bunch, that's how we... Yes, this was fantastic.
This was great.
Again, Jericho's comedic style in these cinematic things is out of this world. Not only is he one of the best wrestlers in the world, he's a fantastic singer, and the dude's a great comedian. What can't he do?
Yeah, I love this. I love seeing Sammy Guevara talk about how I'm not a fake Latino.
Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco.
That was amazing. You got Jericho in his kitchen cooking an egg and spilling orange juice.
And then you notice when they cut, the orange juice was gone.
Orange juice is gone, and then he goes to pour the bubbly in it. So that was all fantastic. And he capped it off by saying, all right, guys, love y'all. I'll talk to you later. I got my, yeah. And then he goes, I don't have any toilet paper. You find some? That was great. So then we get...
To continue.
So next, we get one of my personal favorite matches of the night, Sammy Guevara versus Shug D. And this was my dude. This is my dude. Yes, formerly known as Pineapple Pete, Shug D. So I like this guy. This dude, he's funny. He's very comical, but you can tell that he knows what he's doing in the ring. And by the way, just another example of why this is what I mean when I say I like comedy wrestling, but I like good comedy wrestling, because there's no childish humor here. It's actually funny. It's not, oh, look, farts and stuff like that. No, I don't want to see that. This was actually funny. It was quite entertaining, especially when you have someone like Sammy Guevara in the ring, who's a bit of a comedian himself. So I thought this was really good. Obviously, Sammy squashes the guy, though. He picks up the victory. Torture rack knee strike, kind of like a reverse go to sleep. So after the match, he says he's going to beat the hell out of Darby Allin. Then he says, you guys are booing me? Well, let me show you how I'm going to beat the hell out of Darby Allin. He then proceeds to beat up on Pineapple Pete, but Darby Allin comes out to save the day. So this was all enjoyable. Everything from the Bubbly Bunch to the end with Darby Allin, I enjoyed everything about this. What was your mindset on this whole segment, including the match?
I thought the match was good. Again, it's the same thing that I've been talking about with NXT. It's the same thing that I've been talking about week in and week out with AEW. This is the equivalent of a performance center guy. It's a guy from QT Marshall's gym. He put on a good show. It was interesting, and they built a story around it. They definitely did.
And he's hilarious.
Yeah, and Shug D is hilarious. So I was excited. I thought it was a good matchup. Just the same thing. It's like it doesn't really build anything. Although, again, AEW has this way of making nothing into something. Last week, Jericho was making fun of Pineapple Pete, and then all of a sudden, Sammy Guevara has to take him on for Jericho's honor this week. So I suppose you never know what will build to something else in this company.
Next, we get Shawn Spears versus what I thought was a child in the ring, Justin Law.
Yes.
So this guy looked like he's like straight out of high school, like amateur wrestling. Like, I don't know where they got this guy from. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, that was tough to watch.
Yeah.
Did we skip a match? Did we skip Kip Sabian and Chuck Taylor?
We did. We'll go back to it, but Justin Law versus
I just want to make sure.
Justin Law versus Shawn Spears, and Shawn Spears was about as confused as I am. He's just looking the whole time like, this is who I'm fighting, this guy. And when Justin Law is trying to start the match, he's like trying to lock up. Shawn is like, you sure about that? Like, this is what you want?
It's really what you want to do?
Yeah.
Do you rethink that, friend?
And then at one point, Shawn Spears gets down on his knees in a standard amateur wrestling position. He looks at the ref, who's Aubrey, and says, say go, and we'll start. Like, typical amateur wrestling start to a match there. So, Justin Law stands over Shawn Spears. Ref Aubrey says go. And Justin Law almost pinned Shawn Spears. The world would have stopped. But no, all that did was infuriate Mr. Spears, who started teeing off on the young man, then hits a running C4 for the win. So another squash match. Had a little bit of humor in it again, but Justin Law, I don't really know what this dude's doing in a ring, in an AEW ring, like, at all. It looked like I tried to look him up online, see if I could find anything about him. His Twitter account is brand spanking new. All I could see was him having some type of wrestling training with TJ Perkins. So it looks like he's out of TJP's wrestling. I don't know if he has a school, but definitely out of his training regiment. So that's cool. At least he's getting trained by an amazing performer in his own right. But Justin Law, I'd say, is still a little bit too new to be getting television time on Dynamite. So that was a little surprising to me. But he didn't look bad. Just, he's just very green. So it is what it is. At least this wasn't like the last time we saw Shawn Spears face off against somebody new where it was just horrible. So good on Shawn Spears. He learned his lesson from that.
Where it was just horrible, and then all of a sudden we didn't see him on TV for weeks.
Yeah, no, he learned his lesson there. But next we get Kip Sabian versus Chucky T. That was the match that we skipped a little bit earlier, and this was all right. It was all right.
Yeah, that's about as much as I can say about it.
Yeah, this was all right.
I'm more excited for what the Best Friends are doing next week.
Yeah.
Orange Cassidy versus Jimmy Havoc.
Yes.
That'll be a match.
Well, we saw later in this match, Orange Cassidy gets involved here in the match, and then Jimmy Havoc pulls him down and it lays him out. We see Penelope Ford get up on the top rope, hits a Hurricane Rana on Chucky T, and that leads to a roll-up for the Kip Sabian victory. So this wasn't great. It's just kind of a filler match, setting up something for next week.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And then we get to the main event. So this, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. So this set the internet on fire. I didn't watch Dynamite or NXT until tonight, which we're filming this on Thursday night. So I went back to watch the shows today, and I had actually seen on Twitter, it was trending. It was one of the stories on Twitter that fans were divided over the main event, which was Jake Hager versus Jon Moxley. And I thought to myself, I'm reading some of the reactions, and I'm going, like, what are these guys talking about? Like, people are comparing it to the Edge and Randy Orton match from WrestleMania, saying that it was slow, it wasn't good, it was bad, it was horrible. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, there's no way, right? Like, this match, it's Hager versus Moxley, right? And I mean, I've been critical on the fact that this match didn't deserve to be an empty arena match, but I was like, nah, man, it's gonna be fine. These guys are just hating, they're blowing it out of proportion, especially when I saw people compare it to the Johnny Gargano and Tomaso Ciampa match, saying that match was bad, which if you thought that match was bad, you're on something, because like, you need to be tested, because that match was fantastic. And even the Randy Orton Edge match wasn't bad, it was just very slow pace, and it took a while from them to go from one spot to the other. So coming into this match, they got the announcement that Jim Ross was going to be commentating this match. I didn't realize he was going to be doing it all by himself.
Yeah, I didn't either. Look, no. Mm-mm.
No. This, and
10 years ago.
I stand corrected, because literally the other week, I sat here and I said,
the other person who could do it,
who could do a match by himself, was Jim Ross after Morrow did it. And apparently AEW took my words literally, because JR came on this week. And no, I stand corrected. This was really bad from Jim Ross. He looked like he was struggling to find words to say, pulling things out of thin air that had very little relevance to what was happening on your screen. It wasn't good. This was not, again, like you said, maybe 10 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, but.
And I think additionally, it doesn't help that it was of a different style than JR's used to calling. I mean, let's be honest, more than 50% of this match took place in a mat wrestling, MMA style, where, you know, there was a lot of takedowns and holds and technical.
I don't know if that's the reason. I mean, this is the guy who commentated in WWE when you had people the likes of Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar and people like that. So I don't know if that's necessarily I'm
grasping at straws here, because I thought he could have done it, and
no, it wasn't good. And that's not the only thing that wasn't good, because after watching this match, I don't have defense for this. I wanted to be the guy to come on and say, yeah, this was amazing, yada yada. You guys are talking out your ass, like, what is it? No, I can't do it. I honestly can't defend this. This was not great. This was
well, let me defend it for you.
This was well, I'll let you go, but let me finish. So this match was, while it had a lot of technical and mat wrestling, and it was kind of like trying to be, you know, different. But this proved that, like I said weeks ago, this match did not deserve the empty arena stipulation. First of all, they barely used it at all. They went to like one place. They went to like the staircase, like right outside the ring. Like, they barely went anywhere at all. There wasn't a lot of weapons involved in this match. They spent like 90% of it in the ring, treating it like it was a mat wrestling style match. So it didn't warrant the empty arena stipulation at all, especially on a feud that personally I felt like didn't deserve it. And then the rules weren't even fleshed out really that well, because you got the likes of like Hager pulling out steel chairs, but then apparently you can get your submissions and pins broken up via grabbing the ropes, which we criticize WWE all the time for no disqualification matches and doing stuff like that. But that was one thing that I noticed mysteriously people weren't talking about last night when I went on Twitter, and so I'll be the guy to bring that up. That's just dumb. Why is that a thing? But just talking about this match, and I'll let you, when you go to talk about your opinions, I'll let you even go more in depth and break it down. But it was very, it's not even that I can watch technical masterpieces. This is the guy you're talking about right now, me, who loves matches like Undertaker versus Shawn. I think that's some of the best Mania matches of all time. And you go back and watch those matches, those were not fast-paced matches. Those were two old guys taking their sweet time. I love stuff like this. I love the slow pace, the technical builds, but when you build it up as empty arena, no rules, like this huge stipulation, this fight between Hager and Moxley, and then you just tried to give me nearly 30 minutes of this like technical in-ring prowess between Moxley, who's a brawler, and Hager, who you've been building as this MMA guy, and talking about how if Moxley wants to win this match, he's got to get out of the ring. He's got to, use some of that brawler, unorthodox style, but then he tried to take on Hager in his own style. Like, nothing about this made sense. It didn't work for me. It wasn't very good. It was slow. You took what little spots there were in this match, like the Edge and Randy match, you took forever to get from one spot to the other. And then even the finish was very rushed and anticlimactic. Like, Moxley smacks Hager with a steel chair and then hits the paradigm shift on the chair for the win. It was very kind of out of nowhere. This match wasn't very good. And I'm disappointed because I'm seeing a lot of people use this to criticize Jake Hager. I saw people saying, well, I've been saying it since forever. Hager's not very good. He wasn't good doing it. But like, no, stop that crap right now. Hager is an amazing talent. He's a great in-ring performer. He's great overall as a wrestler. I don't put this necessarily all on Hager, and I don't put it all on Moxley. I just feel like whoever helped them create this match, wrote the script for this match, they got some poor direction. They obviously didn't have the ideas for this match, were all over the place, and they didn't really know where to go this match to take the direction. And I just feel like that resulted in this cluttered mess of a match. So that's my opinions on that. I agree with the majority of the IWC here. This just wasn't very good.
Okay. You are not totally off base with this. The ending was rushed, and quite frankly, I wish they would not have had the empty arena stipulation, because it felt like the empty arena stipulation took away from this match.
Yes.
And the reason I say that, they've been talking about that through this whole time, Jon Moxley has been training in mixed martial arts in a technical wrestling style. So when you saw the two of them in the ring, while yes, Hager had the upper hand, as he should have, and they did the right thing by giving Hager the upper hand in situations in which there was more grappling, Moxley was able to hang, maybe not as well as, or maybe a little bit better than he should have, but he was able to hang. And it put together a fantastic technical piece for 10 to 15 minutes. The first 10 to 15 minutes of this match were fantastic. Then you did the go to a spot outside the ring, which was cool. And this is the thing. It felt wrong. It felt slow. And it felt like it didn't need to happen, but it did. And this is the thing. This is what hurts me, because I loved the match as the technical masterpiece it was. It needed to go that way, because if it doesn't, Mox cannot conceivably beat Hager. This is the only way, by making it an empty arena match, giving them spots outside the ring, giving them spots with weapons, that you could conceivably say Moxley beats Hager. Hager still looks like a monster badass who just got hit in the head with a chair. So it did everything it needed to do. The first 15 minutes of the match, by God, it had me on the edge of my seat, because when Moxley's going toe-to-toe with Hager in grapples inside the ring, the only thing on my mind is, Hager's going to win this. Hager's going to choke him the hell out, and he's going to win this. But I do have to get to a couple of downsides. First of all, that chair looked gimmicked as shit. I know it is, but Hager touched it, and it went, whoop. So that's a problem. Number two, the rules of this match make no sense, and by God, Jim Ross, you didn't help.
No,
you said it was Falls Count Anywhere, and then later you said it wasn't, and then you said I assume that you have to make the guy submit in the ring, and then they talk about they didn't even talk about rope breaks, and rope breaks are apparently a thing. So that made no sense at all.
Yeah, no.
Get your rules set straight, because that's one thing AEW prides itself on. AEW has always been the company that when it comes down to it, the rule set is very, very open and honest. The referees are pretty much calling things down the middle. Like, we don't have the problems that we have in WWE, and we had that tonight. And the additional thing, it ended just a hair too quickly. And I don't want to say it ended all too quickly, because it had to end quick. You also have to think about this. Hager is known as a guy who can take a beating and get back up. In MMA, that's what you need to be able to do. You need to be able to take at least a little bit of a beating and get back up and get back on your feet. So when it comes down to it, it had to be quick, but it was too quick. It needed to be a 15 to 20 second sequence where Moxley, gets the upper hand, hits a move, then hits him with the chair, then maybe hits another move, then hits a paradigm shift, 15, 20 to 30 seconds even, because you could see maybe Hager reeling for 30 seconds. But to go, yeah, Moxley hit 2 moves, match over. Like, is it realistic? Sure. You just planted the dude on his head on a steel chair. But was it a masterpiece? No. So the first 15 minutes of this match were by far the best thing I've seen on TV this week. And that may be an unpopular opinion. I don't care if it is, to be honest with you. Everybody knows I don't care if my opinion's unpopular. I'm still going to say what I have to say. The first 15 minutes of this match, the technical and by God, I never thought I'd be saying Jon Moxley technical masterpiece. But the first 15 minutes of this match, the technical masterpiece put on by Moxley and Hager was fantastic. The fact that they took it outside the ring, even though it was slow, did what it needed to do in giving Moxley the reasonable upper hand while making it plausible that Hager could lose this match because it's out of his style now. Bringing a weapon in did the same thing, even though the chair was super gimmicked and it ended too quick. Everything that happened needed to happen. It's just 2 or 3 things needed to happen a little bit more developed. And when you're talking about the stuff outside the ring, maybe more than 2 or 3 spots in 15 minutes.
Well, and it's again, I'll say this. I agree with you that what you got technical wise wasn't bad. I feel like that's being missed by a lot of people that are critiquing this match, and the fact that it wasn't as bad as people are making it seem. Like, people are just treating this as like the worst match of 2020. Like, let's not go that far. These two still did phenomenal when they were in the ring. Like, they're two experienced vets in the game, so they know what they're doing. And while telling the story of Moxley being able to keep up with Hager technical wise didn't really do it for me, even though you could see Hager got the upper hand a lot, but it wasn't where I thought this match needed to go. And then once you got to where the match needed to go, you didn't go all the way. I mean, my God, I never thought I'd criticize AEW for being unimaginative, for being unimaginative, for not being creative, minus your stable names, of course, but you have the stipulation empty arena, and you went like 5 feet outside of the ring. That's as far as you went. My God, go to the back, go to the locker rooms, go out into the front. Like, you have so many options, and you went to 1 or 2 spots that are 5-10 feet outside the ring, and that's it. When we get matches like Edge and Randy Orton, like Tomaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, who, not even the match, but the fight we saw them have in the Performance Center a few weeks back, there's no excuse for this. Like, there's literally no excuse. If you're going to look at those matches, this is exactly what you did. If you're going to look at WWE doing that and then go, we're going to do our own thing to counter what you guys are doing. You even put Jim Ross on commentary by himself. So you're making it very clear your aim, your target is to take shots and try to counterattack what WWE's done these past couple weeks. And swing and a miss. I don't get how you missed the mark that badly. I could understand if, again, you got a Randy Orton edge where the match overall wasn't bad, but you were still, like, just going a little bit too slow. But you just were way off kilter. Again, I don't know if it was whoever wrote this match, if the direction was just all over the place, if maybe you had miscommunication between Hager and Moxley. Like, maybe if they just couldn't come to a consensus on how this match was supposed to be. I don't know if Moxley maybe wanted to take it further, and then Hager was maybe reeling him back in, or
Hager
maybe wasn't.
Like, no, please, I don't want to die.
Yeah, like if he just wasn't comfortable taking this match that far, because we know Moxley doesn't have a problem. We saw that in the Kenny Omega match he had back a couple months ago. That was one of the most extreme matches that AEW's put on. So it's definitely not a Moxley problem. I feel like maybe Hager wasn't willing to go that far, but I also feel like it was, again, whoever was scripting this, helping them script this match in the back. I just feel like there was maybe too many ideas, too many ways that they were trying to go, and it just looked like cluttered nonsense. It looked like they didn't know where they were supposed to take this match. All they knew is that they had an end goal. They knew what they wanted to accomplish, and that's what they wanted to make sure that Hager looked strong. But because of the stipulation, Moxley gets the upper hand and retains. And you accomplish that, but the way you got there just wasn't great. So again, this proved that this match did not deserve the empty arena stipulation. It definitely, after watching the match, it certainly didn't need it. I mean, it wasn't. I thought of everything I saw tonight, and this wasn't a fantastic night of wrestling. I don't think AEW put on a great show, even though I wasn't overly critical. It definitely wasn't their best show. That's a couple weeks in a row now, which, by the way, NXT these last 2 weeks have beaten AEW in the ratings. But even NXT this week, I didn't think was phenomenal. I mean, it wasn't a bad show. I definitely think it was better than AEW, but both shows weren't, like, spectacular by any means. But the way AEW capped off its night with what was supposed to be the biggest match of the show, and this, like, you're expecting a fight. The way these guys were talking, the way Moxley was talking, like how he's gonna go in and beat the hell out of Jake Hager. I'm expecting like a fight. I'm expecting tables and tacks and these guys to fight all over the arena, and then this is what we got. It's just lame. It honestly just felt like wasted potential. That's what I got. This takes me back to the Ambrose Asylum match from WWE with Ambrose versus Jericho. Yeah, it just seemed all I see from this match is wasted potential, and I feel like when we look back on this match, it's just gonna be another piss poor match put on by Moxley, not to his own fault, but it's definitely not going to be a shining star in what I think is a great career.
Unless, of course, this sets up for something bigger. Moxley versus Hager in the Octagon.
I don't want to see
that. No, I think this match was. Like I said, the first 15 minutes, best thing I saw on TV this week. The last 10 minutes, probably the worst thing I saw on TV this week. So when it comes down to it, I think this does what it needs to do for everybody. It's just the match wasn't as good as it needed to be. The match needed to be significantly better than it was. It was still enough for me to put AEW over NXT this week because, you know, it's AEW and that was a fantastic match, regardless of the last 10 minutes being absolutely awful. You know, at least our champion shows up every week. But, you know, so match of the show for you.
I mean, I guess since I have to pick one, because I don't particularly think any match on this show was great, but best match of that show has to be the Lance Archer versus Colt Cabana match. Again, you finally did something with Lance Archer that I approve of, so that's of the show, that's the best match.
Mine is going to be Moxley versus Hager. And my MVP is going to be Jon Moxley hanging out with Hager in a technical style match, something you wouldn't expect to see out of Moxley, but again, just showing you that he can do just about anything in the ring.
Yikes. My MVP is actually going to be Sammy Guevara. He looked amazing in that Bubbly Bunch promo, and then he did fantastic work with the more comedical style of wrestling with our boy Shug D. So my MVP is going to be Sammy Guevara. I thought about giving it to Lance Archer, but no, not yet. While again it was my best match of the night, that's based on the fact that none of the matches on this show were particularly great. So that's where I'm going for AEW tonight. Show of the night, I'm clearly going NXT because AEW borderline put me to sleep minus a couple times that it made me laugh, which that's the best thing it did tonight was it made me laugh. But that last match, that's 30 minutes too long. If you're going to do something like that, you can at least cut this down to 15 minutes and do it like that. But this match didn't deserve the stipulation. It didn't deserve the time that you allotted it. And as you could see, all it did was just help to piss away viewers for the remainder of the night because a lot of people switched the channel to NXT at the end, which I thought did a way better job of wrapping up its show than AEW. And even overall, with what we were given from NXT, first of all, they actually had a couple good matches on their show. And again, the way you start, the way you finish. So no, NXT takes the cake pretty easily for me this week.
I mean, sure, why not? I'm going to go with All Elite Wrestling here. Dynamite, Lance Archer, Colt Cabana was the better opening match, and the better closing match was Moxley and Hager. Simple.
Yikes. All right.
I mean, nothing in between particularly piqued my interest from either show, really. I mean, I like the Bubbly Bunch promo. I also like the Keith Lee promo. Didn't really like any of the matches in the middle on NXT.
In the middle, you got Swerve versus Akira Tozawa. You didn't like that match?
Which wasn't bad, but
you also
you put Tozawa over. I can't do that.
And then, speaking of that, in the middle, talking about segments, you got the Velveteen Dream Finn Balor segment in the middle. So it's like, I don't know. And then even that first match, you have a Finn Balor match against Fabian Aichner. I will, the Colt Cabana Lance Archer match is better just because, I mean, I love you, Fabian, but yeah, you're not on the level of one of those two, but still, I mean, we're talking about technical wrestling. That was technical wrestling between two really gifted guys at technical wrestling, not someone who just learned how to do it over these past couple weeks. So and then again, and the last match, I think that's just a difference of opinion there because you actually liked the last match in AEW.
I did. But I also like the last match on NXT. I'm not going to try to take away from NXT this week because, first of all, both of these shows were not particularly great. I'm just going to come out and say it. I thought both of these shows are like a C+ at best. But I think AEW's last match was better for me. I liked it more. I don't know. Maybe it's a personal thing. It probably is. Lord knows I'm biased and this, that, and the other thing.
I mean, I'm not going to go as far as other people have gone, but from what I've heard from most of the IWC, some people are even borderline calling this the worst Dynamite they've ever seen, which I don't know if I'd go that far because we've definitely seen worse, in my opinion. Particularly that 1 week where both Dynamite and AEW came out just throwing like slap, that was horrible. But I definitely would rank this like top 3 worst Dynamites of this past year. I just did not think this was very good. So
yeah, I mean, in comparison to other Dynamites, yeah, this was not particularly great. But I still think it was better than NXT. I did. Dexter Lumis.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is the one thing. This is the one thing that made it actually really close was the debut of Killer Kross. I almost wanted to take NXT, but Moxley Hager again. For those of you who didn't like it, congratulations.
Which appears to be most of you, by the way.
Yep, I'm in the minority here. I'm always in the minority in every argument I'm in. But I'll tell you what, Hager Moxley was a good match for my money. I liked it. I thought it was a fantastic matchup, and I think it sets up well for whatever the future may be. Hopefully, we're getting Moxley versus MJF at Double or Nothing. That's one of the possible rumors going around right now. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with really whatever. Jericho's talked about a rematch. I'm cool with that too. I don't care.
Look, whatever they do with Moxley going forward, just go all the way in. Just no more half-assed gimmick matches, please.
Yep.
This is
the other thing. You need to, before you start writing a storyline like this, sit down with the person who's going to be facing Moxley and go, dude, this is John friggin' Moxley we're talking about. Are you sure you're ready for that? Because we're going to book you into an empty arena match, and Moxley's going to want to literally kill you. So,
yep.
Are you ready to die?
And you also
not?
And you also have to think about it like this. It's not even just about Moxley killing his opponent, but you can go the other way. Moxley has been proven to love reciprocating pain, so he didn't get a lot of that tonight either. Hager didn't take advantage at all of the environment. Yep. I know it's not his area, but do something to the guy. Like, it just...
Now, there's the one thing that I can think of that would make them not want to go that route. Do you really want to send your talent to the hospital during all of this?
So then don't book it as an empty arena match. They made that stipulation well after this whole crisis had started. So like, first, it's not that like you couldn't have just been like, oh, we should probably put the pause on this, or even if you want to change the stipulation, like just be like, yeah, no, we're not really trying to do that. But I think even that I think is ludicrous, because at the end of the day, as Jim Ross used to always say, it ain't ballet. You can get injured doing a simple Hurricane Rana. So if you're gonna have the mindset of I don't want my talent getting injured, maybe we shouldn't. You shouldn't be in the wrestling business. That's my mindset of it.
Perfectly fair. And again, I'm not going to take away from either show tonight. I think both shows were average.
And by the way, I saw people making this argument too, which I don't even think this is an argument you can use. People are saying that you shouldn't be critical of the Hager-Moxley match because these people are risking themselves to go out and compete for your entertainment. I'm sorry, but that doesn't mean we can't be critical of what they're giving us. Yes, we are appreciative of the fact that they're going out there and risking themselves to perform for this. They risk themselves every time they get in the ring. So while, yes, clearly everyone's aware of the situation, but at the end of the day, this is an art form. This is a sport, and we are allowed to be critical of said sport and said art form. So if you're going to put it out there for us to enjoy, we're going to tell you what we think of it. That's a horrible excuse. That's just some way for like stupid marks and fans to hide their clear bias of not only just these performers, but AEW. If you're going to use that excuse, then I'm sorry, it's just ignorant.
Yeah. The one thing I will say is, I mean, when we did, I mentioned the injury thing, it might not have been a company thing. It might have been Mox and Hager going, yeah, I'm not going to the hospital right now. I know that I could get hurt just as easily doing this, but like, I'm not taking thumbtacks to the back, thanks.
And if it's anyone, it's probably Hager. I highly doubt Moxley is even considered that.
Well, the only reason I say Mox's name in that is because he has had 2 staph infections.
Oh, yes. But yeah, no, I think, and even if it's not about the whole getting injured thing, I still think this is probably on Hager. This is probably his unwillingness to maybe go as far as, and that's not me sitting here saying that I think Hager's a wuss or anything. The dude competes in MMA. He's a certified badass and could kick mine and Nick's ass any day of the week. So I'm not sitting here saying that I think Hager's a a wuss or he can't take the punishment. Some guys just don't like to fight that style of wrestling. So I feel like that's the situation here.
But they talk about this too. When people are active in both wrestling and MMA, they wrestle their matches a little soft. There's not as many big bumps. There's not as many big spots. Why? Because guess what? They get hurt in wrestling, they're on the shelf for 6 months. But if they get hurt in wrestling and they're doing MMA, in MMA they might be on the shelf for a couple of years trying to recover from that injury fully and get back to tip-top shape.
It's why I'm so appreciative of Bobby Lashley when he was competing in TNA, because no matter what he was doing with MMA, he was still giving us his all in TNA on a week-to-week basis. That's why I'm so critical of Brock Lesnar. The dude's not even competing anymore due to his substance abuse and with steroids, or allegedly anyway, and he still half-asses every match he's in. So I get that mindset, and truly I do, especially if you're trying to really have a super successful long-term MMA career. And I get that. If that's your goal, if maybe, you're looking more towards the future in MMA than wrestling, or you're trying to just do this more long-term dual split, which I get it, but then don't put yourself in a situation to where that's even an issue. This should have never happened then. Shoot
straight with Tony Khan and say, look, man, I'm not trying to get into any big brutal street fights or anything. I just want to do wrestling matches. If that takes me out of the title picture, it takes me out of the title picture.
And I don't even think it would have. I totally think you could have booked this match. You could have told this, if you want to go the storyline of Moxley trying to work his way up and get more technical. Like you said, they laid the foundations for that a little bit. So, and they showed it in the first 15 minutes of this match. So you could have gone more that route. And then maybe as the match, you get later on in the match, as people start to get more tired, Moxley gets a little bit more sloppy, starts relying more on his just brawler style. You start to see more unorthodox techniques used in the match. It's the story's been told 1,000 times. It's not difficult to write, but go that route instead of teasing everybody with Hager Moxley for 30 minutes, having an empty arena brawl, and then it's basically just a regular match with a couple chair spots. That's all this match was. So that's my biggest criticism.
Yeah, that's totally understandable. At the end of the day, I liked the match. I thought it was fantastic. So I'm gonna stick with my guns here. But I thought NXT was really good this week too. I mean, well, okay. Again, I sit here and I say really good as though I thought either of these shows were really good. They were average, very, very average for them. I mean, if we're comparing them to SmackDown and Raw, these were Grand Slam masterpieces tonight. But yeah, these were pretty average for Dynamite and NXT, but I think they were pretty neck and neck tonight for me.
Funny enough, I don't even think I'd put Dynamite tonight over Raw, if I'm being honest with you. I think Dynamite was pretty bad, but that's my opinion. But let's go ahead and close out the show here. So you've got our opinions on both NXT and AEW. I'd love to hear your guys' opinions in the comments down below, or you could hit us up on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell while the Wrevolution Pro Wrestling Podcast is only available on YouTube for the foreseeable future. Once this whole crisis is over, we will be right back at you in audio format on the Spotify, iTunes, Google Play Podcast, and the Podbean. After this, the next video you will see from us will be the weekend wrap-up that should be coming out on next Tuesday. So make sure you guys are keeping track as well with the World Wrestling Classic. By the time this video is out, polls are going to be posted on Twitter, so make sure you guys go ahead and vote so that way your opinions are taken into consideration for who advances to the next round of the World Wrestling Classic. So social media links are down in the description below. I already mentioned the Twitter. We got the Facebook and the Instagram. So with that being said, This has been the Wrevolution Pro Wrestling Podcast. My name is Marcus White, live from Studio 6.
I am your world champion, Fight Mode Nick Cavalli, live from my spare bedroom.
And we invite you, as always, to join the Wrevolution.
Join the Wrevolution.
Have a fantastic night, guys.
Have a good night.